McLaren are Formula One Constructors' Champions for the first time in 26 years after Lando Norris beat Ferrari to Carlos Sainz to win the season-ending Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Having put themselves in full control of the lucrative team's title race by locking out the grid's front row, McLaren experienced a more nervous race under the Yasmarini floodlights than may be expected when Oscar Piastri was thrown around by Max Verstappen into the first corner, but Norris never put a foot wrong from the pole and kept Sainz at arm's length across 58 laps to claim the fourth win of the year and secure McLaren's ninth Constructors' Championship, but first since '98. Ferraris, whose hopes of a final day turnaround were 21 points behind, looked unlikely, but finished with a strong double podium, and Leclerc brilliantly charging from the grid's back to third. Ahead of this blockbuster winter move to replace Sainz at Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton delivered his own stone race day turnaround, finishing fourth from the 16th on the grid, overtaking George Russell at the end. That was a driver world champion, amazing, said Toto Wolff, in an emotional exchange of messages at the end of the legendary chapter in both of their careers. Verstappen, who clinched this year's Drivers' Championship for the fourth season in a row fortnight ago in Las Vegas, ended his campaign a distant sixth for the deposed team champions Red Bulls after losing ground to Piastri at the start and then becoming handing a 10-second time penalty. Pierre Gasly concluded a fine end to his season seventh to secure Alpine's sixth in the constructors ahead of Haas's, who took eighth with Nico Hulkenberg. Fernando Alonso took ninth. With Oscar Piastri 10th, who got his own penalty for hitting the back of Franco Colavinte's Williams. Sergio Perez's miserable season ended on the second lap when he'd been tapped into spin by Valtteri Bottas' opening tour. The Mexican has a contract at the team for the next season, but it's increasingly unlikely he will fulfil that contract with just 9 points from the last 8 races. But just 7 years after McLaren, one of F1's oldest and most storied teams, appeared at their lowest ebb, finishing second from last in constructors, Sunday's title winning result absolutely confirmed their return to the top of the sport. The Woking team's pre-race lead of 21 points had always made them big favourites to close the title out on Sunday. The stated Sun's line with Norris and Piastri qualified first and second, with Ferrari only third due to a grid penalty, and then difficult Sunday with Leclerc 19th. But the race opening yards unexpectedly created the team's Zach Brown's worst 2 hours of his life. When Norris made a strong getaway from pole, Piastri's mirrors on the inside started to be filled with Red Bull blue, and he was turned around by Verstappen into turn one braking zone, who launched a bold lunge for a second, but as Piastri came across to take the left-hander, Verstappen was not sufficiently far enough inside and spun both cars around. Piastri came off far worse, with the McLaren ending up at the back of the grid. Although he was swiftly able to get going again, Piastri had to pit for tyres at the end of the opening lap before his race was then further compounded when he hit Colapinto, earning his own 10-second sanction from the stewards. So with his teammate almost immediately out of the reckoning, it all was suddenly down to Norris. Any issues... and yeah, that could have been game over. Yet, while mistakes from the team's driver may have ultimately undone their bid for the driver's crown against Verstappen, Norris was supreme here and didn't make any mistakes, easily winning the race. It felt incredible, not for myself, but for the whole team, since Norris has risen for them since 2019. The job they've been doing is outstanding. To win the Constructors' Championship like this is pretty special. Zach Brown... congratulated the team. The lack of mistakes under the huge pressure was incredible. But moving on into the other main story of the day, and Hamilton's record-breaking career at Mercedes may not have been built on the kind of fourth-place finish he achieved on Sunday, but his final result of his glittering career came with a comeback drive, one of his best. After Wolff had been left apologetic by the team's errors, leaving him out in Q1, that poor luck, Hamilton... made progress and brought himself into play, extending his opening since lap 34, which gave him fresher, softer tyres at the end of the race, and encouraged by the team radio that an optimistic podium may be on the card. He set after Hulkenberg and then Gasly before Russell. He was being caught by about a second of that by Hamilton, and Hamilton ultimately got through on the last lap with a really cool move to end his Mercedes career with more points than his countrymen. And yeah, he felt like he didn't give up, came alive, and he wanted to finish on much high as a high as he could, and he certainly did that. A great ending to his F1 career with Mercedes. And before I go, let me run you through the classification from the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Norris coming out on top. Yeah, that was an absolutely flawless drive for Norris under so much pressure. And McLaren Constructors Champions, great job for them. An unbelievable job Zach Brown and Stella have done to turn that team around. Sainz and Leclerc will be gutted, but so much positivity for Ferrari going into next year. And a really solid drive for Sainz to round off his Ferrari career, even if it wasn't ultimate ending he wanted. Hamilton showing he's still got it. An amazing drive from him to come through, and yeah, emotional scenes at the end. I think Russell will be slightly disappointed with his race, not to finish ahead of Hamilton at least. But he's set for that, probably the maximum. Verstappen, obviously, that instant at start kind of ruined his race. But yeah, Red Bull, their pace going into next year is a bit of a concern, isn't it? But another great season from him. Gasly 7th, another superb drive from him to seal that position for Alpine. And Hulkenberg in 8th. Good job from him as well. Yeah, Gasly wasn't quite enough. But obviously, that one fleeky result kind of helping Alpine, but still a great season from him. Alonso did well, get some points. Piastri, a scrappy race. He'll just be pleased that McLaren got over the line. And yeah, a solid season from him. It's crazy that it's only his second season F1. Albon and Tsunoda will be gutted to miss out on points. But I think solid drive for them. Zhou, a bit of a way off. And then Stroll and Doohan as well. Doohan for his first race, I think probably would have hoped for a bit more, but it wasn't quite to be. And Magnussen 16th. Yeah, for his last F1 race, going to miss him. But great character. But yeah, Lawson and Bottas. Unlucky, especially for Bottas, and what could potentially be his last race as well with Colapinto and Perez. Yeah, it just feels like this is the end as well. Such a shame, isn't it, for someone who's had such a great F1 career.
Anyway, guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on our socials. Link in the description below for daily F1 news, meme, and content. Subscribe to our other channels on screen right now. That'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace out.